Narrator, VO. She had run that HOA like a personal kingdom for 11 years. She issued fines that weren't in the bylaws. She banned flags she didn't like. She foreclosed on a widow's home over a $30 late fee. And for 11 years, nobody stopped her. Until the day I mailed one letter. 48 hours later, her entire board was frozen. Lakeview Estates looked like a dream from the outside. The kind of neighborhood you see on TV holiday specials. Neat rows of colonial homes, identical landscaping, a community pool that smelled faintly of chlorine and optimism. When my wife and I moved in, April 2021, we thought we had finally made it. We had spent 4 years saving for that down payment. We weren't rich. We just wanted a yard, a quiet street, and maybe a decent school district for the kids we were planning on. The HOA at that point was just a line in the mortgage paperwork. A fee, a minor inconvenience. We didn't think much of it. We should have read the fine print. Because Lakeview Estates had an HOA, and that HOA had a president. Her name was Diane Mercer. Diane had been HOA president for 11 years by the time we moved in. 11 years of uncontested elections. 11 years of hand-picked board members. 11 years of doing whatever she wanted because nobody had ever made her stop. We met her on our third day. She knocked on our door at 7:30 in the morning. Not a neighborly knock, a sharp, 3-strike knock, the kind that says I own this. My wife answered in her robe. I was still making coffee. Diane was standing on our porch in a blazer at 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday. She introduced herself as the HOA president, then immediately informed us that our moving truck had parked on the curb past the allotted delivery hours. According to her, those ended at 6 p.m. I told her we hadn't seen that rule anywhere. She smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes, and said she'd send a copy of the bylaws. Then she handed my wife a fine notice. $50 on our third day in the neighborhood. We didn't fight it. We paid the fine. We assumed it was a misunderstanding. That was our first mistake. Over the next 6 months, we received 7 more notices. Trash bins 2 inches over the line. A porch light that somehow wasn't approved, even though our neighbor had the same one. My daughter's basketball hoop in the driveway on a Sunday afternoon. And then the mulch. Apparently, only 2 colors were allowed, cedar red or cocoa brown. We had midnight black. $200. We appealed, asked for the written rule. What Diane sent wasn't from the official bylaws. It looked like something she typed herself. No date, no approval, no legal reference, just her name at the top. That's when something changed for me. I started paying attention. I got the real HOA bylaws from the county recorder's office, not from Diane. Then I cross-checked every fine we had received. The mulch rule, not there. Delivery hours, not there. Basketball hoop, misapplied. Out of 8 fines, 6 weren't supported by the actual documents. So I kept digging. And it wasn't just us. Margaret, a retired teacher, paid $300 because her garden hose was visible. The Delgado family were threatened with a lien over a slightly discolored fence board. And then there was Earl. Earl was 83. He had lived there for decades. 6 months before we moved in, his wife passed away. He fell behind on HOA dues, not because he didn't have the money, but because he was grieving. The balance was $31. The board placed a lien on his home. $31. With fees, it became over $1,000. Earl cried when he told me. That was the moment I stopped being a homeowner and started becoming a problem. I researched state law. HOAs aren't above the law. They're regulated. They must follow their own bylaws. They must follow state statutes. And homeowners have rights. Rights to inspect financial records. Rights to challenge fines. Rights to fair elections. None of that was happening. I requested financial records, certified mail. No response. Send a second request. She replied with 2 sentences. Records are currently under review. That line changed everything. Because under state law, denying access to records is a violation. And there's a form for that. I didn't rush it. I built a case. 3 weeks, 47 pages. Unauthorized fines. Denied records. Missing elections. Earl's lien. A clear pattern of abuse. I made 4 copies. 1 for the state. 1 for me. 1 for my attorney. And 1 for Diane. Then I mailed them. Thursday morning. By Friday at 4:17 p.m. I got an email. A case number, an investigator assigned. And a temporary suspension order. All fines frozen. All recent liens under review. The board effectively shut down. 48 hours. I read that email 4 times. Then I called my wife. Her first question, what about Earl? Earl's case was flagged for review. I went to his house, told him. He asked how much it cost me. I said nothing. He laughed. First time I'd seen that. The investigation took 4 months. What they found was worse than I expected. $89,000 in fines, most unauthorized. $47,000 missing from reserve funds. Board members listed who had already resigned. That's not mismanagement. That's fraud. The board was dissolved. A state administrator took over. Fines were refunded, with interest. And Earl's lien. Gone. Expunged. Repaid. Earl called me when he got the check. He said he was going to plant roses. Any color he wanted. I'm telling you this because I wasn't special. No legal background, no connections. Just documentation. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Get the real documents. Check the laws. Document everything. And file. Because sometimes, all it takes is 1 letter.